is Lauren Fix, the car coach, who is also the president of the Car Utility and Truck of the Year Award. Lauren, thank you for being with us. What do you make of this stuff, all the trade war, some of those numbers that I just talked about jobs loss? Maybe they're in, like, you know, DEFCON 1, horrible circumstance. They seem pretty high, but we don't want any jobs lost, I suppose. What's your view?
Well, I understand. I mean, think about it. Half of the Dow Jones half of those stocks are automotive related. So if you think half of the DJIA, that's a lot. So there is an impact to even everything from accounting firms, marketing firms, you know, food services, travel. So yes, there's an impact. But are they going to lose that many jobs? No. Right now, from what I can understand, based on how we've seen President Trump operate, this is just a tool to get the Chinese to say, listen, you can bring your cars into our country and we're not going to over-tariff you, and then we'll match that here. And of course, you saw the EU jump right on board saying, yeah, let's talk about automotive right away, because that's the one that's going to impact them the worst, especially Germany, because they bring in Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, and other brands that are built in Germany, and they certainly don't want to lose money from the U.S. because we are still the largest auto market.
Yeah, well, I was just reading about you know, the German exports, and you know, China's #1, but we're #2. I mean, we are a huge market for them. Let me ask you about auto parts suppliers. I mean, I've been around probably too long. I remember back in the days of what the acronym was, the Moss talks back in the mid and late 80s on auto parts from Japan. But how important and dependent are U.S. automakers upon foreign auto parts, Lauren?
Well, just so you know, about $62 billion is the automotive aftermarket industry. It's a lot. And I do a lot of work with the automotive aftermarket industry, and I can tell you that they're all fighting. But you have to remember, they make parts as the cars go down the production line. They also make the repair and service parts. So the thing that they don't want is they don't want Chinese parts coming in from other countries when a repair guy is working on a car and he has a choice of going to his favorite auto parts store and getting it for $5 versus $10 from the dealer, or from an original part that belongs on the car. You know what they're going to do? They're going to get the cheaper part because it creates higher profit margin. And the problem is these parts typically are inferior. A lot of components and parts, you can see this yourself, whether you buy a product that's built in China versus a product that's built in the U.S., you're going to get better quality product here. And you can see that when you look at some of the brands that are built here. And so this is something that I think they're very concerned about. The automotive aftermarket wants the products to come from the U.S., but also as cars go down the production line, you know, the unions want this. They want jobs, and those jobs are based on the automotive aftermarket and the industry itself.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, you're 100% right. Of course you are. You're the car coach. But, you know, a lot of these products, even though they're more flimsy, maybe made in China, but they do end up putting U.S. Part suppliers out of business. And then the only alternative you have is the inferior, albeit cheaper product. And once the other competition's gone, that maybe it's not quite as cheap as it used to be. That brings us to suppliers, Lauren, and suppliers have become pretty vocal in their opposition, or concern rather, about Tesla, their financial circumstance. And there was a survey reported about the Wall Street Journal earlier in the week. And what do you make of it? What are these suppliers' concerns about Tesla?
You know, if you step back and stop looking at all the excitement that's on Twitter and all forms of social media, Elon is kind of not helping his company at all, when internally they have asked for suppliers, especially smaller suppliers, to extend the terms, which already are extended over 120 days, and to say anything we might have left in inventory that would typically be parts for the system for repairs to be returned and get a credit. Of course, manufacturers are like, hold up, we made these specifically for you based on your tooling. What are we going to do with all these parts? And so they need money too in order to pay their employees. And so smaller companies, and I do know a few of them that have supplied that still haven't gotten paid, are very concerned, because without that they can't pay their employees and it could put them out of business. And we're very concerned about what's going to happen with Tesla. When we get the Q3 numbers, we'll know whether there's a future or not. It's so easy to say that the Saudis are interested, but they've already backed down. The Chinese are not interested in their vehicles. As a matter of fact, they're showcasing a competitive vehicle this weekend at Pebble Beach. So they're already saying, we don't need you. We'll just make our own thing. And so you're going to see a lot of competition, which might hurt him. And then losing the tax credit will also hurt the brand.
Very interesting. Hey, Lauren, before we let you go, let me ask you one other thing. New news out that Ford is recalling some of their Fusion Energy, with a GI at the end, I guess, their electric cars. What's that all about?
These are the charging cords that go into some of the EV products that they sell that are plug-ins. So from the car to the wall, or from the car to your charging station, they're saying that there's potential fire, which means something to do with the production of the product, which obviously is not made internally. It is a sub-company. Let's hope they didn't get the parts from China. But we'll find that out soon, and they'll be sending out replacement cables to those people that are affected.
And let me say, just for our viewers, so you don't get freaked out about if you have a Ford Fusion, these are the 2013 to 2015 cars, and they're energy cars with a GI at the end. So those are the ones you got to check on. Lauren Fix, the car coach and president of the 2018 Car Utility and Truck Award of